Did you hear that?
Hear what? Dude, this is serious!
So today we're going to talk about why the power of the PlayStation 5 simply isn't going to matter nearly as much as some people think it will when it comes to the next generation of consoles. I think there's a lot of reasons for this, and I'm going to try to hone in on a few of them, some of the biggest reasons why I believe this to be true. And the reason why I've been thinking about this is because there's just a lot of talk going around about the next generation consoles. It's very clear that both Sony and Microsoft are in the trenches right now, prepping, getting ready to reveal their consoles whenever that may be. Some people are anticipating either Sony or Microsoft, or maybe even both of them, to reveal and talk about the next generation consoles this year. A lot of people, I think, are realistically not expecting to hear about these consoles until sometime in early or mid-2020. But one thing we do know for sure is that Sony and Microsoft are in the trenches getting ready for this. And gamers are excited, man. And there's a lot of reasons gamers are excited. I think the most important reason is because with next generation machines, we get what we hope to get is next generation technology. And with that next generation technology, we get games that are able to do things that we really couldn't experience with the previous generation of hardware. So when I say that the power won't matter, I don't mean literally like the PlayStation 5 could come out and be 5% more powerful than the PS4 Pro and that would be acceptable. That's not what I mean, of course, and I don't think anybody is expecting that. We kind of know at this point that when it comes to the next generation consoles for both Sony and Microsoft, the architecture is going to be very, very similar, pretty much the same. It's going to be x86, and we know that there's going to be incredibly powerful GPUs put in these machines, and the big factor that's going to change and really make it seem next gen is going to be the CPU. There's going to be a next generation CPU in both consoles, and that's going to be what ultimately makes the biggest difference in the output of what we see on next generation games versus what we're seeing now. A lot of people have this idea that Microsoft's goal is to just crush Sony when it comes to power. Basically, for those who don't know, it's pretty much confirmed. I don't want to say confirmed because it's not confirmed, but there are a lot of rumors coming from a lot of really valid sources that are saying that Microsoft's plan when it comes to the next generation of consoles is to release multiple SKUs to essentially do with the next generation Xbox what they have done with the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. They plan on releasing two models at the bare minimum. You're going to have your basic S model, which is going to still be a next-gen machine, but it's not going to be the most powerful version. In fact, some people are thinking it may actually be less powerful, believe it or not, than the Xbox One X when it comes to pure teraflops, if that's what you're going by. And a lot of people may scratch their heads thinking, why would Microsoft do this? Well, it's because they want to try to reduce the price and still, put a better CPU in there, but the GPU may not be on the same level as what we see with the Xbox One X. So you may not be able to achieve native 4K 60 FPS, which, if we're being honest here, when it comes to the next generation of consoles, that's what you're going to be paying for. You're going to be paying to play games at 4K 60 FPS. Now, whether that ends up being native 4K, I don't know. We're going to have to wait to see about that, but you certainly won't be able to do that with the next generation Xbox One S model. But the other thing they're doing is they plan on releasing a next generation version of the Xbox One X. And right now it's called codenamed Xbox Anaconda. And from everything we heard, this console is going to be an absolute monster. It's pretty much going to be double what the Xbox One X is. But with that, we have to understand that the price is also going to be high. Right now, the speculation is that it's going to be a $500 console. Could it be more than that? It's possible. I don't think it's likely, but it is possible depending on, what Microsoft chooses to do. So that's Microsoft's plan. And when we look at Sony's plan, from what we've heard, and we haven't heard too much, but there has been a lot of talk and a lot of rumors, and we really can't validate these rumors. But what we've heard from the Sony side of things is that pretty much Sony plans to do what they've always done. That doesn't mean things won't change or can't change between now and when these consoles are revealed, but it seems like they're going to stick with the one SKU model. They're going to have a single console. It's going to be called the PlayStation 5, and it's basically going to be right in between what the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, the next generation consoles, that is the Xbox Lockhart and Xbox Anaconda. It's going to be right in the middle. So it's not going to be as powerful or as expensive as the monster Xbox Anaconda that Microsoft is developing, but it's not going to be nearly as underpowered as the Xbox Lockhart, and the price is probably going to reflect that as well. A lot of people are anticipating a $400 price point. We know when you look at the PS4, there's no denying that that price point, $400, was the sweet spot, especially when Microsoft came out and announced the Xbox One was $500. Now, the reason why I say the power won't matter is because we have to go back to what next generation is. What are people going to be upgrading for? Well, I'll tell you right now, most people are going to be upgrading for 4K 60, or the hope of getting 4K 60. And at the bare minimum, people who maybe aren't that interested in 4K, they're going to at least be upgrading to, with the hope, I should say, that almost all games, if not all games, I think many people are expecting all games across the board, to run at 60 FPS. Now, this is where I will admit Microsoft does have I think it's a smart strategy. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't know how successful it will be with this idea that they want to release a lower end, cheaper next generation Xbox One S model that undoubtedly will most likely undercut, when it comes to price, the PS5. But I've been avoiding talking about one very important factor up until this point, to where no matter how good of a plan or strategy Microsoft has when it comes to their hardware, there's one thing, there's the ace in the hole that Sony has, that it really doesn't matter if they have a slightly underpowered console, if they don't have the world's most powerful console, and if their console is basically stuck in between what the next generation Xbox One S and Xbox One X will be. And I think you guys already know what that is. They have the games. And if you notice, every time we have these conversations, this is what it comes down to. When Sony and Microsoft get ready to reveal their next generation consoles, it's going to be a big deal. A lot of people are going to be tuning in and paying very close attention, because that's going to be their opportunity to lay the foundation. And something that people are going to be expecting, there's two things. I'll tell you, there's two things right now. One greatly outweighs the other. The two things that gamers are going to be expecting when they see these next generation consoles is powerful hardware that looks like it's going to be worth the upgrade in terms of, raw power and what they're going to get versus what they have now. That's the first thing. The second thing is the games. What games are you going to have? What games are you going to show me that are going to entice me, that are going to motivate me to get excited and really want to go out there and purchase your next generation console? And I don't think anybody can deny that when it comes to games, I've been saying it over and over again, Sony has it on lock, at least for the remainder of this generation. But when you think about and you start to speculate about Sony's plans for the next generation games, I can tell you right now, we kind of already know a little bit of what to expect. And I think that alone, for a lot of people, makes the PS5 a day one purchase regardless of anything Microsoft does. And you think about Guerrilla Games. I can tell you we're most likely, if not it's almost guaranteed, we are going to see Guerrilla Games' next project announced alongside the PS5. A lot of people are expecting Horizon Zero Dawn 2. I think that's just a natural thing to expect. That game alone, right there, will be enough to make most people who are on PlayStation 4 right now, who played Horizon Zero Dawn or had any interest in Horizon Zero Dawn, that's automatically going to win them over. But it's not just that. Think about Sony Santa Monica, them coming off of God of War. They've laid the foundation for how the next couple of God of War games are going to be. They're not going to deviate in a huge way. Believe me, that's not a bad thing. So it probably won't take them nearly as long to create the next God of War, and I could see that being announced alongside the PS5. Not necessarily releasing within the first year or anything like that, but believe me when I tell you, that's what's going to bring the people in. Think about Spider-Man. Spider-Man, again, the foundation is laid by Insomniac. There's no doubt that this is going to be their bread and butter going forward, and they have a fantastic relationship with Sony. So who's to say that we won't see a tease of the next Spider-Man alongside the PS5 announcement and some other stuff that we just don't know about? Now, I'm saying all this assuming that Microsoft doesn't have anything to show, but we know Microsoft is going to have stuff to show. They're not going to... I do still believe that Microsoft is going to go in hard next generation, but it's just a matter of execution. It's a matter of how faithful are people in the idea that Microsoft is going to suddenly start to show off games left and right that can compete with the stuff that Sony has been producing. I don't think many people are holding out hope for that. I know I'm not anymore. That's not to say there's nothing I'm excited about, because there is. There are things on the Xbox side of things that I still am excited for and I'm hopeful for. But I just don't think that having, this strategy in place where you're going to have a cheaper console for the casual market, for the person that just doesn't really care about 4K, then having this monster console for people who want the most power, I'll tell you right now, it will not matter. It will not matter at all if you do not have the games that get the gamers excited. If you don't show games that make people think, I need to get in this right now. Not to mention, another big factor is that Xbox doesn't have true exclusives anymore. So that's another reason why a lot of people are honestly just going to forego the idea of even looking at an Xbox console, because they're just going to think if they have a gaming PC, they'll access the games there, right? And, that's not necessarily a bad thing for Microsoft, but that's a factor as well. That's another factor that's going to, believe it or not, help sell PS5s. Anybody who sees games that are announced on Sony's side, even if there's just a single game that they're interested in, they automatically know, oh, well, I have to buy a PS5. I have to buy Sony's hardware to get access to this game. And so that's why I honestly think that if Sony takes this approach with the PlayStation 5, which it seems like they're going to, where maybe they're going to keep it powerful. You're going to have a hugely upgraded CPU, and there will be power differences between the Xbox Anaconda and the PlayStation 5. But the question is, how significant are these differences going to be? I don't think it's going to be nearly as significant as what you see sometimes with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. It's not going to be that big of a gap. I think it's going to be situations where maybe the PlayStation 5 doesn't hit native 4K on certain games. It gets close to it, but it can still run it at 60 FPS, where the Xbox Anaconda can run that specific game at native 4K 60 FPS. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm not too good with the tech stuff, so I'm not trying to say that we can just expect these consoles to automatically output native 4K 60 FPS. I could be dead wrong. But I could see some slight differences here and there. Maybe there's a few more frame drops on the PS4 Pro, or not the PS4 Pro, but the PS5 compared to the Xbox Anaconda on certain games. But believe me, it's not going to be anything insanely dramatic as some people want to make it sound, because again, these consoles are going to be using the same architecture. They're going to be very similar, very, very similar. And it's kind of like, the law of diminishing returns here, where you can only go so far and expect to get so much in return. And I think that a lot of people, honestly, when it comes to the PlayStation 5, they will not care if it's the world's most powerful console. I just don't think they will. What they're going to care about is it worth the upgrade? Is there an upgraded CPU? Can I expect to get 60 FPS more often than not? Can I expect to get native 4K more often than I am now with the PS4 Pro? And most importantly, what games are going to be available on it? Can I look forward to God of War 2? Can I look forward to Horizon Zero Dawn 2? Can I look forward to Spider-Man 2 and some other games? And something tells me, that's exactly what you can look forward to. Because right now, when it comes to games on Microsoft's side, I know I sound like a broken record, but people are unsure, man. Until Microsoft shows it, people are not going to sit around waiting and saying, sure, there's going to be people who upgrade day one to the next generation Xbox, but I genuinely believe that most people are not going to be sold on power alone. They're just not. They need to see games. And if you're somebody who says, well, what about third-party games, MBG? Like, still, like, you have to understand, if you choose to upgrade to the PS5 over the Xbox Anaconda, you're still getting a next-generation console that's going to be a beast. It's not going to be like, it's not going to be like 10% more power than the PS4 Pro. That's not the case at all. It's still going to be a beast. But Microsoft's console is just going to be a little bit more powerful, significantly more powerful in certain areas. But the question is, will that matter to gamers at the end of the day? I doubt it. Anyway, that's going to do it for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave it a like if you did enjoy it or if you agree with me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon and share the video out as well, because that helps tremendously. But until next time.